DOJ lawsuit against Illinois, Cook County, Chicago over sanctuary city policies dismissed. In a significant legal development, a federal judge has dismissed the lawsuit brought by the U.S. Department of Justice, FDOJ, against the state of Illinois, Cook County, and the city of Chicago regarding their sanctuary city policies. This ruling, which emerged on Saturday, July 26, 2025, has sparked discussions about the balance of power between federal and local authorities in immigration enforcement. The lawsuit accused local governments of obstructing federal immigration laws by implementing regulations that prevent local law enforcement from engaging in immigration enforcement and sharing information about the immigration status of individuals who have committed crimes. This case was closely watched, as it highlighted the ongoing tensions between federal immigration policies and local governance. U.S. District Court Judge Lindsay Jenkin ruled that the individual defendants in the case were dismissed because the federal government lacked the standing to sue them concerning the sanctuary policies. Judge Jenkin emphasized that while Congress possesses numerous powers, it cannot compel states to enforce federal regulations. This ruling underscores a critical point. The federal government cannot use states as instruments to enforce its policies. Interestingly, the DOJ did not provide any comments regarding the ruling when approached by the I-Team for a response. Although the case was dismissed without prejudice, which means the DOJ could potentially appeal or refile, legal experts like ABC7's chief legal expert Gil Soffer suggest that this may be a challenging path. The DOJ would need to present entirely new facts that differ from those already submitted. Judge Jenkin has set a deadline of August 22nd for the DOJ to amend its complaint. If they fail to do so, the dismissal will be converted to one with prejudice, effectively closing the door on this case. In response to the ruling, Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul expressed satisfaction, noting that this decision aligns with a previous dismissal by the Seventh Circuit of a similar lawsuit during a Trump administration. Raoul highlighted the importance of the Trust Act, which recognizes that civil immigration enforcement is primarily a federal responsibility, allowing state and local law enforcement to focus on community safety. He reaffirmed his commitment to defending the Trust Act against what he described as the Trump administration's harsh immigration policies. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker took to social media to celebrate the court's decision, stating, "Breaking. Illinois just beat the Trump administration in federal court. Their case challenging the bipartisan Trust Act was dismissed. Unlike the president, we follow the law and listen to the courts." Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke also praised the ruling, commending the work of her civil division attorneys. She criticized the Trump administration's attempts to pressure local communities into adopting their immigration policies, arguing that such actions are not only unlawful but also detrimental to public safety. Burke emphasized the necessity for victims and witnesses of crimes to feel secure in coming forward, which is essential for effective law enforcement. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's office echoed these sentiments, expressing satisfaction with the court's decision. The mayor's statement reinforced the legality of Chicago's Welcoming City Ordinance, which aims to protect the rights of immigrants and ensure public safety. He noted that the city is safer when local law enforcement can prioritize the needs of its residents, rather than being forced to comply with federal immigration agendas. The Welcoming City policies, established over 40 years ago by Chicago's first black mayor, Harold Washington, continue to be a cornerstone of the city's commitment to its immigrant, migrant, and refugee communities. This ruling raises important questions about the future of sanctuary city policies and the ongoing debate over immigration enforcement in the United States. As communities navigate these complex issues, it remains to be seen how federal and local governments will interact moving forward. What are your thoughts on the balance of power in immigration enforcement? Do you believe local governments should have the autonomy to set their own policies? Or should federal laws take precedence? Share your opinions in the comments below. Judge dismisses Trump administration's lawsuit against Illinois sanctuary policies. A major showdown between federal authority and local autonomy just ended in a decisive legal victory for sanctuary cities. But this ruling isn't just a one-off legal tussle. It cuts straight to the heart of a national debate about immigration enforcement and states' rights. Here's what happened, why it matters, and where things could get even more contentious. In a sharp rebuke to the Trump administration's hardline immigration policies, U.S. District Judge Lindsay Jenkins dismissed a federal lawsuit targeting Illinois, Chicago, and Cook County over their sanctuary city policies. The decision, delivered late last week, affirmed that state and local governments have the constitutional right to limit cooperation with federal immigration agents, a move the Trump administration had claimed galvanized gumption to keep Americans safe. But here's the kicker. Judge Jenkins didn't just rule in their favor. She shredded the government's case altogether. The Trump administration, she argued, lacked the legal authority, or standing, to challenge these policies in court. Why? Because the laws in question don't directly hinder immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, operations, or affect private contracts, as the feds had claimed. This affects more than just Illinois. The ruling effectively declares that requiring state-local police to proactively assist with federal immigration enforcement violates the 10th Amendment, which safeguards states' rights. As Judge Jenkins put it, compelling state cooperation would let the federal government commandeer states, a power it doesn't have. The case originally targeted specific officials, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, a potential 2028 presidential candidate, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, and law enforcement leaders. But Jenkins dismissed charges against individuals, explaining the U.S. couldn't demonstrate direct harm requiring her involvement. Governor Pritzker celebrated the decision, writing, "Illinois just beat the Trump administration in federal court. Their case challenging a bipartisan trust act was dismissed. Unlike the president, we follow the law and listen to courts." Cook County State's Attorney Eileen Burke added that sanctuary policies help build trust between police and immigrant communities, which is critical for solving crimes. Yet the White House remains defiant. A spokesperson argued that cities like Chicago make Americans less safe by refusing to assist ICE, claiming these policies protect criminals over citizens. The administration hasn't ruled out appealing the ruling. But this isn't an isolated case. Just days earlier, the DOJ sued New York City over similar policies, linking them to a violent attack on a Border Patrol officer. Earlier this year, Colorado and Los Angeles faced similar lawsuits, with the DOJ claiming sanctuary policies interfere with federal authority. The pattern suggests a deliberate strategy to pressure Democratic-leaning jurisdictions. So what does this mean for the future? Legal experts warn this could lead to a Supreme Court showdown over the balance of power between Washington and local governments. Meanwhile, activists argue these policies are necessary to protect vulnerable communities from deportation fears. But critics counter they enable dangerous criminal activity. As the battle continues, one question lingers. Should local law enforcement prioritize federal immigration enforcement over community safety than trust? The answer might depend on which perspective you prioritize, and this ruling has done nothing to quash the debate. Which side of this divide do you stand on? Share your thoughts below. Whether you believe sanctuary cities protect communities or undermine public safety, your voice matters in this ongoing national conversation. Judge dismisses Trump officials' lawsuit against Chicago's sanctuary policies. Chicago just scored a major victory against a federal showdown over immigration enforcement, and it has everyone talking. A judge in Illinois has dismissed the Trump administration's lawsuit that sought to undo Chicago's sanctuary city policies, which limit how much local police can work with federal immigration agents. But here's where it gets controversial. This decision doesn't just uphold local autonomy. It reignites a national debate over whether cities should pick and choose which federal laws to enforce. In February, the Justice Department sued Chicago, arguing that the city's so-called sanctuary ordinances thwart federal efforts to enforce immigration laws. The suit claimed local regulations prevent city and county officials from sharing information about immigration status with federal authorities and stop Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) agents from identifying individuals who may face removal. Federal prosecutors maintained that these restrictions conflict with national statutes designed to secure our borders. And last Friday, Judge Lindsay Jenkin of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois agreed with the city's defense and granted a motion to dismiss. By tossing out the case, Jenkins effectively said Chicago's rules do not unlawfully impede federal immigration efforts. Mayor Brandon Johnson applauded the ruling, calling it an affirmation that Chicago's welcoming city ordinance is lawful and supports public safety. In his view, when police focus on serving residents without fear of deportation, communities become safer. Governor J.B. Pritzker echoed that sentiment on social media, triumphantly proclaiming, "Illinois just beat the Trump administration in federal court." The Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security have not yet responded to requests for comment. Meanwhile, this lawsuit is only one among several the administration has filed against cities like Los Angeles, New York, Denver, and Rochester, as well as 4 New Jersey municipalities. Chicago has identified as a sanctuary city for decades, strengthening its policies